How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. And this week, we are bringing you another one of our random match reviews where we take a random match and we talk about it. So this week, Leonard sent me the match, and Leonard is going to talk a little bit about these two guys who, if this was a few years after the date of this event, many would have considered it a dream matchup. But Leonard, why don't you give him a little insight?
Sure. So the match that we're going to talk about is Stunning Steve Austin versus Macho Man Randy Savage from WCW Saturday Night on May 27th of 1995. And before we get to the match, there's two reasons I picked this. One is that we have in these matches kind of done a few where people have crossed that you didn't think had or would have, like when we did Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig. Right. And here you have Savage and Austin, who were in WCW briefly during the same period. And Austin talked, and how I found out about this is Austin talked about on his podcast once. He was asked about, did he ever work with Savage or something about Savage? And he mentioned this match. He said he didn't remember much of it. He said he was asked to do the job, which he was happy to do because it was Randy Savage. And then I don't remember if he said that this was something that was talked about or something he was interested in. The idea of when WCW was folding to bring Randy Savage in around 2000 or 2001. And that Austin thought he could get a last good program out of Savage.
Right.
Around that time period. And I don't remember if he said that was something that had been talked about or just something he was interested in. There probably, I don't think, was serious talks of doing it at that time. But
well, I mean, if we're going off on a little tangent there, at that point, that gets the rumor mill started as to why Savage never came back during all that time. We know why during the initial invasion of WCW, ECW, why the top guys didn't come back. They were sitting at home collecting paychecks. And then they eventually all did kind of trickle back. But Savage never got that comeback to the WWE, WWF, which is unfortunate. And we all know the rumor. It seems like it's been put to bed as probably not true by this point. If you kind of listen to any of the podcasts, but it is a shame that never happened.
Yeah, and even at that period, I think the two of them would have had some good brawling matches.
Yeah, because that's all Austin could do, and that's probably all Savage could do.
At that time, yeah. See, and if you were going to have a match between these two guys, this would be kind of the right period to have it. I mean, Savage was a few years past his prime, but wasn't totally on the other side of his career yet. And Austin was an experienced veteran. He had 5 or 6 years under his belt by this point, and this was before the the neck injury, so he could still go. If you were going to have a match between these two guys, 93 to 95, 96 would have been when you probably would want to have had it. So, but then the second reason why I picked this match was a few weeks ago now at the time of this recording, my wife and I went down to Cincinnati for a few days on trip, and the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. We went to the Hall of Fame Museum. The season hadn't started yet. It was week of, but they have all kinds of great memorabilia. Even if you're not a Reds fan, it's a cool place to go. And they had one small display case for their farm system, for their minor league teams. And right dead middle of the case was a picture of Randy Savage, signed Macho Man underneath it. And next to it is a baseball bat, a game-used baseball bat by Randy Poffo, who would become Randy Savage. For those of you who don't know, Savage was a good high school baseball player.
Yep.
And spent 4 years in the Cardinals farm system and 1 year with the Reds. And I forget why he left baseball now, if it was an injury thing. I meant to look that up before he came on the air and forgot, but wound up leaving baseball and going into wrestling, which his father Angelo and his brother Lanny were involved with at the time. But his original dream was to play baseball, and he was in the Red system. So I thought that was really, really cool. And I sent a picture to Chad, so if he's got that, he can throw that up. And then when we got done, my wife asked me, of everything in there, what would you want? And I said, the Macho Man bat. And she said, yeah,
Absolutely.
I figured. That's why I asked you that. But I figured you were going to say that, the Macho Man bat. So that's why I picked this match to talk about. So anyway, you can find this on YouTube. The total video length is about 7:35. That includes an intro from Dusty Rhodes and Eric Bischoff, who are in Charlotte in the rain for a NASCAR race. The Coca-Cola 600s that weekend, and apparently TBS is devoting their entire programming to the Coca-Cola 600. So they're there, but the matches are taking place on what was called Center Stage down in Atlanta, where they did a lot of their studio tapings.
Right.
So this is the second round for the vacant U.S. title. Austin beat Jim Duggan, and Savage beat the Butcher, which was one of the Ed Leslie gimmicks that we talked about at one point in the first round. Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan are on commentary. The winner here will get the winner of Ric Flair versus Alex Wright, which I would be interested in seeing that. I didn't look up Flair versus Wright, but that
I would watch that.
A good match.
Yeah.
So what the storyline here is, this is all in a collision course to be Flair versus Savage, because they mentioned that at a previous show, Savage's father, Angelo Poffo, was in attendance and got attacked. His dad got attacked by Ric Flair.
Yeah. 4 days before this.
Yes.
And it was at Slamboree, and now at Slamboree back then, they would induct various legends into the Hall of Fame, and there would be legends in attendance. And Angelo Poffo was one of the legends in attendance, and it was a tag match for the main event. Hogan and Savage versus Flair and Vader, and Hogan and Savage would win, but then Vader, Flair, and Arn Anderson would attack Savage afterwards, and that would bring Angelo Poffo into the ring, and apparently Flair put the figure 4 on Angelo Poffo. So that's kind of what the commentators are referencing in this match.
Yes. So this is all on a collision course to get to Savage Flair in the finals of this tournament. So this is not a very long match. Like I said, the whole video is only 7:35. It didn't time the match itself. It's real simple. Brawling to start from Savage with the intensity. The commentators are selling the intensity as being he's upset about his dad. Savage controls early. Austin takes over. They go to the floor briefly. Austin misses a flying nothing, and Savage throws Austin back outside. Austin eats the ring post and then the guardrail and another ring post. Body slam sets up the flying elbow. That's pretty much that match in a nutshell. And I forgot to mention that Austin has Colonel Rob Parker with him as his manager at this point. So Rob Parker's on the outside. Giovanni talks to Savage afterwards. Savage pretty much predicts Flair beating Wright and saying that he'll, go on to get Flair in the finals of the tournament. So first, my take on it, this is way too short. Even just 10 minutes for these guys would have been something for them to show a little bit against each other. I think this is really missed opportunity here. I think this is, if Savage would have said, hey, give us 20 minutes, I think they could have got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it would have been a hidden gem. I don't know if at this point would have been something really talked about, but I think it would have been a hidden gem at this point. So when you talk about this match, I don't think you talk about the match itself, but I think you talk about the missed opportunity. But your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a nothing match. It's really just an opportunity for Savage to get, a win, looking strong, going into, the finals for this tournament. And, you'd watch a match like this, and then if you're still wondering why Austin, he didn't leave, he was fired, as we all know. But if you're still wondering why he was a little bit bitter, you look at the missed opportunity, as Leonard said here. Even Stunning Steve at this juncture of his career deserved more than this 3-minute, squash from Savage. Yeah. They were capable of having a good 10 to 15 minute TV match that would have been exciting and entertaining and would still have made Savage look strong on the way to fighting Flair. It's just a missed opportunity. And, obviously we would see the potential of Austin a couple years down the road. And Savage would kind of go on to the NWO stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I was able to watch it simply because it exists. But after I watched it, I was just like, wow, that was just like nothing at all, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I had to give it a rating, it would be dud because it's just nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing really. And again, the only reason you watch it is to say that you saw it, is because it's the only time that these two legendary Hall of Fame icons were in the same ring together. And it's just a shame that it was not anything special.
And a couple side notes, the WCW Saturday Night door entranceway, I would love to see brought back. Just throwing that out there to Trips. But also Savage's custom snap into it Slim Jim ring attire. Like at this point, like, and Bischoff has talked about this on his podcast, just how like Savage bringing the Slim Jim,
the money.
The money. I was looking for the right word there. Thank you. But just bringing Slim Jim
the
with
contract, yeah,
was a big deal. So like they're like flaunting it.
Yeah, it's because that was the thing that, and I remember hearing Bischoff talk about this. The contract wasn't with the WWE. The contract was with Savage himself,
right?
Because originally their spokesman was the Ultimate Warrior, and when Warrior flaked out, that's when they made the contract with Savage. So that was Savage's contract to bring with him. Yeah. And I forget how much Bischoff said, but it was a boot.
It basically paid for Randy Savage's salary.
Yeah.
It was basically what he said in the past. So yeah, I mean, you can't beat that deal. But yeah, so they would go on at Great American Bash to have another match, Savage and Ric Flair, for the United States title. And it's interesting when you look at this rivalry that started in WWF and continued into WCW. Like, there's not a lot of rivalries that can say spanned from one promotion to the other. There's a show we should do in the future. Rivalries that started in one company and continued into another. I think it would make for an interesting list.
It would. I'm trying to think of anything that comes to mind off the top of my head, and nothing really, because
you could probably say Hogan and Flair as well. If you really
Hogan and Flair to a degree, and then I don't think you would count Jim Crockett to WCW as being different promotions. But I think if you really dig into the territories, I think there's probably some stuff between Florida, Mid-Atlantic, and Mid-South that maybe migrated to Jim Crockett at some point. Right. I'd have to look, and maybe there's probably some TNA stuff too, TNA to WWF, or WWE. But yeah, we'd have to. That's a great idea for a future show. Put a pin in that one. We'll have to do some research.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you look at this rivalry though, and you look at the fact that Flair at one point flirted with Savage's wife. Here he's attacking his father. I don't know if Lanny ever got involved in this rivalry. If they didn't, then I feel like that was a missed opportunity too.
Yeah, and of course, when Liz would return, she would be part of the NWO.
Right, she would align herself with Flair, with Woman, at that.
Yeah, at one point, and then she would go to the NWO, and then she would be, with Luger, and eventually she was with Luger in real life, as a couple, but would manage Luger very late in the WCW era.
Right. Right. Well, if you've seen this match, let us know what you think of it. Like Leonard said, it is available on YouTube. Please check out our full-length episode as well as our other shorter videos such as Segment Surgery and Stupid Questions. We're also available wherever you listen to podcasts. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.